Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of the Shed MV podcast. We haven't been on in a few weeks apart from our Zoom edition after the Irish Cup quarter final. Well, we don't want to say defeat, victory, whatever you want to call it. We're still awaiting as we record here tonight. If you're wondering why I've got maybe a bit of a red face, it's because I've been running about the training pitch trying to chase down hopefully tonight's guest, which you'll find out who it is, fingers crossed, afterwards in the second edition of this episode. So we've a lot to get through. Recording this a few days before the final game pre-split, which is about Ballyclare. So we'll work backwards over the last few games. We've had a big run of games over in the last sort of 10 days or so. 4 matches. The most recent one was Saturday's 0-0 draw here at home to Queens. Unfortunately I had to work, so you were there. Tell us your thoughts.
Kelly hit the crossbar very late on,
and that was with the highlight.
That's the highlight. I just a tough day at the office. I think a very frustrating day for us, I suppose, especially when you're watching the game and up in Institute, the Brandywell, they're slapping Anna, and we're thinking to ourselves, what a day this could be if we could, quite unexpected actually. What a day this could be if we could managed to squeeze a win out of it, and no matter how much we tried, it just wasn't working. I don't really know what else to say about it. It was just one of those days. I think everybody just felt like that around the ground. Like, I think if that game was still going now, it would still be 0-0.
Yeah.
Queens are a good team, and they've showed it. They've got good players, and our games against them have been generally tight this season. So I didn't expect it to be an easy game, but I did expect to win. I thought we would have a bounce back after last Tuesday night against Loughgall. I thought it was a perfect game for us, but they're a dogged side and they made it very difficult for us.
And seamlessly into the Loughgall game on Tuesday night then. We were both at it, beaten 1-0, early penalty conceded, and pretty much they proceeded a time waste from there on in. But I think we've got to be fair to Loughgall. Sort of rainy night, heavy pitch, same for both teams, but they seem to just maybe, I wouldn't say wanted a bit more, but they just seem to be first and second balls, seem just to be very up for it. That's not to say we weren't, it just it was another game that just didn't happen for us. I usually I'm a bit down or pissed off after a defeat. I come walking out of the ground not really overly concerned. I didn't think, if you think about it, I don't remember Stevie having to make a save. You might say the penalty incident, we didn't really have any clear-cut chances. We had Boyler's header that was sort of straight at the keeper. We had one where Decky came on late on and flicked one that sort of went past the keeper and was headed off the line. We had a lot of pressure and it just didn't seem to happen for us. What I found probably in between the Loughgall and Queen's game, and then maybe less so subsequently after the Queen's game, a lot of people sort of, both from supporters from our club and maybe supporters of other clubs, getting sort of overly excited in different ways. People sort of saying from Uri supporters saying, oh gee, this is terrible, this is rubbish, and we're throwing it away. And then you had supporters from other teams getting very excited that we seem to be dropping points, and
which is fair enough,
which is fine. I understand that, but I think I tweeted, if you're after the Queen's game, not the ideal result. Obviously it was not, but not the ideal result. 4 points clear, extended league at the top. If you had said we were 4 points clear with 6 games to go in the season, at the start of the campaign, you would have taken a bit in your hand off. So look, as we keep saying, it's in our hands. It's all that really matters.
Well, one thing I did think that Loughgall did really well, and I have to commend them for it, was the minute they got their noses in front in that match to the penalty, they knew how to kind of see that game out. And I thought it was a good performance in that end of things. It was a rough game, it was it was a bit scrappy at times, but I thought that they really held up well to the pressure. And we did put them under pressure in the second half, but they never really seemed uncomfortable with it. They seemed to be able to cope with everything. And I mean, obviously the time wasted, but that's part of the game. And they did it brilliantly. And we would, if we could learn something from that just to be shrewd in those games whenever it is tight, and just to be able to see it. I thought Loughgall did that really well. It wasn't a classic game by any means. The rain was stinking, it was an awful night, and I mean, a week later we were sitting here with sunshine today and it feels like a different season altogether. But it was just one of those things. We did say going into that run of 3 games, we would take 7 points, would be great. We took 6. It could have been 7 out of the 3 if that penalty wasn't given. I mean, it was a penalty all day long.
Yeah.
It was just a lazy tackle, but we are where we are, and 4 points clear.
I think also it would be a risk not to mention the former Warren point keeper Berat Turker. I think he's got the most clean sheets in the league this season. He takes a lot of stick from numerous supporters of different clubs, and it probably takes a lot of stick from Newry fans because he's an ex-Warren point keeper.
And also his air kick.
Well, yes, obviously,
his air kick didn't help
early in the season that gave us a goal. Have to say, I mean, he reacted very briefly once to a bit of stick in the first half the other night, and then nothing that was said to him, shouted at him, he even flinched with. He took his time taking goal kicks. He looked, his kicking was good. As much as I would love to sort of slag him off here, I'm sure he's not watching, but if he is, fair play. He looked very professional the other night, and look, it's probably fair to see, even him and their back four, you can see probably why they've kept so many clean sheets this season, especially at home. So look, one of those games. The thing that probably struck me over the course of the 4 games, as we move back into the Ards match here with the 4-0 the previous Saturday, a week ago, was that we scored 9 goals in 2 games, and then we scored none in the last 2, so we'd like to sort of even that stat out a bit. It was an odd one. I mean, Ards were poor. Ards were a lot poorer than I thought they would be. I was slightly nervous going into that game, especially Ards and the new manager, Matthew Tipton. I thought but at the same time, whereas Knockbreda were poor on Tuesday night, I think that's, with the greatest respect to them, I think that's just because they're not a good team, with all due respect, and that's not not being singling any team out, but I just thought they're not a great team. Whereas Ards, with the players you have, you expected them to be better. So I think it was more a case of that side that we made them look as ordinary as we did. I mean, I obviously missed the performance that everybody says was our best performance this season was Anna away in the 3-0 game, which I missed. So obviously I can't judge on that. Of what I've seen this season, I felt that Saturday against Ards, the 4-0 was the best performance I've seen this season. It could have been a lot more. We dominated from start to finish. We were all over them. John gets a couple of goals, including an emphatic penalty. He was standing beside our vice chairman, Gary Wilson, and he just turned around and he says, "Just fucking smash it!" And boy, did he smash it! Like there was no keeper saving it. So it was good to see John get back in goals. Also, he's away on under 21 duty this week. We wish him all the best of luck, especially coming up against Real Madrid's 50 million man Eduardo Camavinga playing centre midfield. So there's a slight difference.
Wait until John tears him apart. Sorry, just when you touched on John and James, obviously as young players, they do go up and they go down, and they're still learning at this level. But I mean, when you think about it, those 2 guys are 19 still, and I think our expectations that we put on them is that every week they need to be 10 out of 10 performances. They need to be banging the goals in. They're 2 fantastic young players, and this season they've developed even more. And you forget that John only really started playing for us, was it the season before lockdown, or the season of lockdown? So he really doesn't have that much experience at this level. And those 2 boys have become integral. So just a quick shout out to him, because he has done absolutely brilliantly. Coming into this tail end of the season, he's found another gear.
And then if you think, touching on that, I mean, the 2 boys are 19, the goal scorers in the Knockbreda game with Peter McParland, I think, it was his debut. He came on, I think like a minute later he scores. He's only 18. Stevie Moan brought the average age of the goal scorer.
Yeah, he's 23, isn't he?
Slightly further. And then obviously Lorcan got his first goal for the club, and a brilliant goal it was. I mean, a classy finish, just sort of shows what he's about. I think we finished the game, or at one point we had something like 8 under 21s or 8 teenagers or something on not necessarily on the pitch at the one time, but throughout the 90 minutes, which is great to see, because we don't seem to have too many people sort of, whether boys that are 30 plus, or we have guys that are sort of in around the 18 to 22, 23 mark. We have the likes of Philly Donnelly, I think it's 27, 28 maybe, and maybe doing you a favour there, Philly, if you look older. But we sort of have a bit of a gap in between, so we need probably more young players coming through to sort of to fill the bottom end of it, if you like, whenever those older or younger players progress.
Well, it bodes well. I think you tweeted that night, the future's bright. And it is. Those boys are good footballers, and when they came on, they added something to the team, which is good as well. So nobody's just making up the numbers here. So it's good to see. Hopefully that progresses. And I think, for young fellas, if you see the likes of John McGovern, who's now an established player in the first team, James Heelan's an established player, Lorcan's not too much older, that gives you hope and being like, well, there is progression down here. There is, a pathway that I can get into that first team and hopefully establish myself as a first team regular.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be looking that way, and it's exciting to sort of see young players, not just, as you said, not just making up the numbers, not just coming in and getting a couple of minutes here and there, but establishing themselves and being given an opportunity, and being given an opportunity in a very important part of the season. We are now looking at Ryan McGivern hopefully coming back. I know he was on the bench on Saturday, but I think that was just maybe in order to sort of make up numbers and
making up the numbers.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever coming on by his own admission. But he's back out training tonight. Tommy Lockert's hopefully not too far away. You know, Brian Healy's, I think this is his last game of suspension this weekend.
Yeah, it seems to have dragged on forever, doesn't it?
Yeah, 7 games. So you've got those three guys coming back. You obviously Dale out for a game or two and was on the bench. So you're starting to get your squad back and fit at the what hopefully is the right time of the season.
Yeah, I think one of the key things was obviously Dingo got suspended. Was it in the Glentoran match? Yeah. He got the yellow card. I think Dingo has now had more yellow cards than goals this season, but I just need to verify that.
That's going to go down well.
He said that to me himself in the bar one night, and he said, "Please don't put that in the podcast." So there you are, Dingo.
Nothing to do with me, mate.
But Dingo was suspended, and what we did is we played the front three of Thielen, McGovern, and Ford, and for Knockbreda, and then the Ards game, that looked like such a fresh lineup, and I think if they get more time together, hopefully if we get promoted this season and we're playing the Premiership next season, that could be a formidable front three, and having the option of Dingo to go in there, that's a good forward line. That's something that we can build on.
I think the important thing is that regardless of whether we go up or not, and obviously we look in a really strong position to go up, is keeping all these guys, because at the end of the day, we know. I think it's an open secret that John in particular is being looked at by bigger clubs than us. So he's obviously when you get under 21 recognition, you're going to have more clubs sniffing around you. Don't know the ins and outs of it. Everybody would love John to stay, and I suppose this is going to sound extremely biased, but I just think if John could maybe use the likes of Lorcan as an example. Lorcan left Warren Point when probably by his own admission could have done with maybe staying another season and a half. For whatever reason, it didn't just work out for him, and then he's gone to Dungannon and then to Loughgall, and he's back here and he seems to be enjoying his football a bit more. It's not to say that there's anything wrong with with Linfield or anything happened or whatever, but I would just hope that yes, a decision I'm sure will be made at some point or another, but from John's perspective and from every Uri supporter's perspective, yes, we're going to be biased, but I think it would be for his development. He's getting picked for the under 21s now while he's playing for a championship club, which says it all. So it shows that we are being looked at. So would he like to sort of test himself in the Premiership next season? Should we get there with his hometown club? Probably. I don't think the club will stand in his way if he wanted to leave. I don't know whether he does, whether he's not. I'm only speculating, but. I would prefer that if John got a move to a full-time team in England or Scotland, something like that. If
and hopefully a season in the Premiership with Newry could put him on that kind of platform.
Yes, it is being biased, but John, we're not pleading for you to stay, but don't
I am.
just don't be arsed about it. No, I'm only joking. He's away on the 21s. He's going to get a massive experience just to touch on that. He's obviously away to Slovakia first in the qualifiers, and then they were due to be playing Russia at home in a friendly, and for obvious reasons that isn't happening. So they're away to France. So we've got Michael Elise, that's been unbelievable for Crystal Palace this season, been called into their squad. The Leeds goalkeeper Melier is in that squad. There's Chouameni from Monaco that apparently United are sniffing around, which maybe doesn't say much at this point in time because United have been crap this season. But he's going to get a huge experience playing against guys that are coming from that, the famous Clairefontaine sort of academy, French academy, which is phenomenal.
You've done your research here, haven't you?
No, I know European football. But in terms of that's just going to be a brilliant experience. I hope he gets plenty of game time. I hope he starts. It's only going to make him a better player. And look. everybody that's been in this club knows John and wishes him all the best, and there's nobody who deserves it more, so fingers crossed he goes back and then he rips it up the rest of the season.
Yep.
No pressure at all, John.
Hopefully. Well, predictions then for Ballyclare away this Saturday.
Ballyclare away, the one team, I was talking to one of our coaching staff out there just before we come on, and we're saying we owe them one. We haven't, they're the only team that's beaten us twice this season.
Yep.
And yet their manager left, not that long ago. Look at Stephen Smalling, who was with Barry Gray at Cliftonville, formerly managed Carrick, I think. A very good guy. I had a lot of kind words actually to say about our short film. So hopefully he takes that into account whenever he's putting his team out on Saturday.
If he wants to see a sequel, help us out.
If he wants to see a sequel this season, Steve, you know what to do. It's one of those ones, we're in normal circumstances we should be going up there we'll be pretty confident at winning this.
Yeah.
But because they have beaten us up there this season, they've beaten us here the day after Boxing Day when they defended for their lives, and it was maybe probably played into their hands a bit. With Hard Beverin, like played his last game for them then before he signed for Portadown. Crusaders, ex-Crusaders Coleraine, a fantastic player. They don't have him there now. Interesting one, I think one of Ryan McGivern's good mates, Chris Ramsey, that he's with at Man City. He plays centre back for them as well. So I don't think Ryan. I'm not sure whether Ryan played in either game against Ballyclare. He certainly didn't play in the away game. So interesting wee battle there. Maybe if Ryan's back, but I doubt whether he'll start.
He came on late down here. The day after Boxing Day, he came on late.
So I mean, it's one of those games where you think that you're gonna, in normal circumstances, you should be going to nearly a bank or 3 points, and that's not being arrogant. It's just looking at league positions and how on form. To be honest with you, I think because of how we played, we haven't performed regularly up there. I remember one good Friday night result. We won 3-1, I think, a few years ago. But I think in every game now, I'm trying to separate my normal nervousness at this stage of the season, with 6 games to go, and whether it's just nervousness for this specific game. Philly Donnelly will be back, and I would presume would start, and will, by the signs of Saturday, probably would have been a good player to have on in terms of a little bit, somebody that can sort of create an opening out of nothing, or get through sort of tight spaces and stuff like that. It's hard to know. I still think I'm gonna go for a 1-0 win.
Okay.
That's probably. I'm trying not to. I think we'll keep a clean sheet because we've only conceded. We conceded a poor goal against Knockbreda. We didn't concede against ours. We conceded a penalty against Loughgall. We didn't concede against Queens. Defensively, I think we've been reasonably sound of late. We need to get back to the scoring goals again.
Yeah.
John's obviously not going to be there. You would presume your front three will be Dingo, Lorcan and James, and Philly in behind, and then your two sort of central midfielders. So the rest of the back four probably picks itself. The rest of the team probably picks itself. So it's hard to know. But I'm gonna err on the side of positive caution and say a 1-0 win for you.
Yeah, I'm kind of shitting myself, to be honest.
Because your predictions are interesting this season.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm not even going to make a prediction for this year. In my head, I'm thinking what is, but
you can't ask me for a prediction and then not make one yourself.
Well, okay, I'll make it. No, I'm not going to make a prediction, but it's been, absolutely. Hasn't been a happy hunting ground for us over the past few years, and it's a tough place to go. Like that's such a cliche in this league.
Great pub across the road, though.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. Great people as well, lovely people. Justin up in the shop, who I met in Baku actually, but it hasn't been a great hunting ground for us over the years. So I don't know. It's a very tough pitch to play on. It's a tough place to go to. I think if we come out of there and our 4-point lead is still intact, I'll be happy. Yeah.
The thing about it is, so we're talking. This is the last game before the split. Saturday night, the split fixtures will come out. As far as I know, Anna can't be caught this weekend in second place. We can't be caught at the top, so that means our first game in the split is going to be away to Anna, because we first and second play each other first, and then we'll play us against third. Current at 60 minutes, so in theory our last game of the season as it stands will be away at Ards. So as it sits at the minute, and I'm not even sure whether Dergview can catch Ards, so the top six will already be decided. We should have probably done that research for there you go. It would mean we'd have one game at home, which would be Loughgall, and 4 away, so it's Anna, Welders, Ballymallard and Ards. So look, irrespective of where the fixtures were going to be and what the order of them was going to be, it was always going to be a tough run. As I keep saying, and I sound like a broken record, it's in our hands. As long as it's in our hands, we only have ourselves to worry about.
Yeah, well, like, let's not get this wrong. It's a good pressure to have, being top of the table and trying to get over the line is a great pressure. It's hard when you're Queens or Knockbreda down at the bottom end and you're fighting for your life to stay in the league, because that could mean a whole host of things for a club. We're in a very good position and it's a great pressure to have. So it's not pressure like it is for those guys. This is a good pressure, and it's something I think that we hopefully can see out. I mean, you know this already. I've spoken to you. The final game lands on the weekend and I'm in Benidorm for Stag Do. And I've booked a flight home on the Saturday.
Does the Stag know this?
He knows, yeah. I told him on Saturday. I don't know if he'll remember, but I've booked a flight home on the Saturday because potentially that could be the big day. So
and just the way, in case you haven't seen, the following day, so after the final game of the season, so the Sunday 1st of May, Michael Smith, the darts player, is going to be doing an exhibition in the social club here. So as I tweeted asking for a friend, are you allowed to bring a pillow and a quilt? Because should things go to plan, and we're saying should, we're not getting arrogant, we're not saying we're going to walk the league this season.
No, I don't know who said that.
That would be, shall we say, one heck of a night, and we might be setting up in your East of the AFC B&B. Plenty of letters there for you. But look, long way to go yet. In our hands, all we have to do is concern ourselves with ourselves, play to the level that we know we're capable of. I don't think things will go awry. Yep. Boys know what they have to do. They're confident without being arrogant, and they know what the job is in front of them. So it's up to, I think, just one thing to touch on, and again, as I said, because I wasn't at the Ards game the Queen's game on Saturday, I'm obviously maybe not in the best place to judge this, but the atmosphere, particularly in the second half of the Ards game at home for Saturday game, and the Knockbreda game on the Tuesday night. I think night games are always better. Yep. But the first Saturday afternoon game, it was without doubt the best home atmosphere of this season.
Well, Saturday rivaled it in the second half as well.
So there you go. So I mean, it's brilliant. Fair play to the supporters. We're going to have probably Loughgall, I would presume, at home on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Unless we try and change it, I don't know whether we're allowed to or what way it works. Our away support's been phenomenal this season. Get out your numbers, do what you've been doing all season. I know the players appreciate it, the management appreciate it. All the supporters appreciate each other and appreciate we're all in the same boat. I genuinely do think that the support we have can play a big part in what we do the remainder of the season. We saw things. I think we saw things that you saw the photograph from Saturday of Darren King going up and hugging Brian Ferris at the end of the game, which is on the passing of his brother, and obviously sending our condolences to Brian and family. That just showed to me, yes, that may happen in other clubs. I don't know. I don't really care. It happens in our club, and it's genuine, and that's what this club's all about. And there's a real link between players, management, fans, and we need to strengthen that between now and the end of the season and help the boys go over the line. Yep. And then we can go clean mental at the end of the season.
And do you know what? My dad has never seen Yuri lose, so he's coming to every game until the end of the season.
So is he aware that should we, by some misfortune, lose, that he's barred? Right, Dave? You're barred. But more than that,
take that risk.
Get as many people down to the remaining games, even though we're going to have a lot of away games, and get them on the bus, get them in cars, get them there, show that we're capable of being a Premiership club both on and off the pitch, which I think we very much are. We just have to wait and prove it over the last month and 6 weeks.